my name is Sharif. Thank you so much. That's part of a different thing. But in terms of, this is a great event, and I guess the topics that was discussed in the last 2 days have been really helpful, useful. So, we look forward to continue this for the whole day. So, when we talk about artificial intelligence, the first thing for most of us that would come into our mind is machines or robots, and which is going to do like the human things. Okay, I just wanted to ask the audience if you have to relate this, the machines taking the job of humans. Okay, nothing to do with religious or mythology, but any drama or a play or a book. When do you think that this would have happened? Okay. Any idea when someone like a play or a drama would have said that machine is taking over and doing all this stuff? Never is almost a good answer, but anyone would want to take a guess? Yeah?
Cannot go out of it cannot change when it wants to change unless the program built-in changes.
No, I'm asking the reference of artificial intelligence. Okay, or maybe I'll tell you, the reference of artificial intelligence was done in a novel called Errhon by Samuel Butlers in 1872. So that's how old this technology is about. So we're going to talk about artificial intelligence. There's a country where roughly about 1.2 billion people. They have about 29 states, 7 union territories, 123 languages, 22 official languages. So, right? So there was this election that was happening. And what they did? So there is this thing called lip sync, which is a deepfake technology. Okay, so using that, he was able to match with his mouth movements, and then was able to spread one language in multiple languages. So with one technology, he was able to talk to multiple languages. That's the world of artificial intelligence now. And Fintech, this last 2 days we've been hearing about, is the banks going to take over the Fintech, or is Fintech eating into banks and things like that? Some of the data points that show us is the largest purchaser of IT happens to be banking companies. Last year they bought about $300 billion worth of IT services. Now in that, close to about 80% is on the Fintech technologies. So I guess, Fintech is mostly collaborating with the banks here. So that's where we have a great panel here. We have someone who's from the banking industry. We've got someone who's used the Fintech part of it. And, we always need someone who could question us from the media as well. So I think this is a very balanced panel. Before I go, another point, about a country. We all know that there's one country which has a specialized ministry for artificial intelligence. Would you want to know which country that is?
Dubai.
Yeah. UAE is the country, okay? And the minister of UAE, he said in his vision, the goal, the objective of having this AI is every resident, okay, or including the people who walk into this country, okay, should feel that this is the city of future, right? So that's how they're using artificial intelligence. So I welcome you all for the city of future and the discussion on artificial intelligence. Maybe I would love to start with you.
Sure.
We were talking about this country, how a country uses artificial intelligence. We're all excited about one other thing. You're from Saudi, and Saudi 2030 is a lot of buzz out here. The country is moving towards opening up and inviting, technologies into them, and a lot more things to do. So, how do you see artificial intelligence and the rest of the technologies that we talk about here contributing to the goal, the vision of Saudi 2030?
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here among such an elite group. Thank you very much for having me. So on a similar note, Qadir, yes, UAE is expected to have like 14% of their GDP in 2030 out of the contribution from the AI. So you are absolutely correct. A country like Saudi has as well established a national authority for AI as well last year. So underneath that authority comes the National Center for AI and the National Center for Data as well. So that entity would spearhead all the AI revolution in the country. And it comes at no surprise that as part of Saudi 2030 vision, we do have the Financial Sector Development Program, FSDP, which puts at its top priority list the conversion to technology and adaptation. Now, the good news is that the country is blessed with a young population, 14% or 30%, I would say, under the age of 14, and the median age is well below 30 years. So you have a population that is young, that is very smart, that can adapt to technology very fast. The amount of I would say competitions, seminars, summits, all this revolution in AI that's happening in the country the past few years, especially last year, is telling us a lot about that. The place became very attractive for entrepreneurs to start their own business. The country has not been before more friendly than before in terms of attracting non-Saudi entrepreneurs to establish their businesses. If we talk about the Central Bank of Saudi, they have established the Fintech Saudi, which incubate all the small fintech startups and give them the right platform and ecosystem to start their business. Last week, there has been an announcement to license 2 large fintech companies in Saudi. So the ambition is huge. $135 billion of GDP contribution is expected in 2030, and the spending has already begun in the country.
Wonderful. Just to give another data point, the fintech or the last year, for the startups, there's a decline in the amount of funding that the startups had, but close to about $70 billion were raised for the fintech companies, and that's a 14% hike on a year-on-year basis. So fintech startups are actually doing well. When we talk about fintechs, I take you from what the lady said. 1950s is all it started with the issuance of credit cards. They started issuing credit card. 1960 came the ATMs. 1970 came the stock exchanges, and the previous presentation was about the futuristic stock exchanges. 1980 internet, 90 e-commerce, and 2000 we all know mobile wallets and things like that. But one of our panelists, you have your technology on the stockbroking, right?
Yeah.
So the start of fintech for the stockbroking, the Swift technologies, everything started in 1970. We are in 2020. How do you see this? Where was this change? What has happened over the last 50 years?
So now, as you said, numbers are very correct. Now investors and VCs are more focusing on fintech companies, and if you'll see the last 10 years or 15 years of trend, fintech started from wallets, especially when we talk about startups, then peer-to-peer lending, and now even VCs and investors are more focusing on investing in the investment-related fintech companies, right? And when we talk about our organization, so we have a company, Advisorymandi and Invest19, which is an aggregator platform of stock market, world first aggregator platform. So we are using this latest blend of technologies like artificial intelligence to find out to give the right advice to the users related to investment. seeing their risk appetite, we are recording their human behaviors, seeing their investment horizon as well, right? And then we are using machine learning to detect the fraudulent transactions, right? And we are also using this blockchain technology to encrypt those transactions, and also making stakeholders to approve those transactions to reduce the hacking probabilities, right? And we are also using robotic automation process to engaging the client or providing the notifications and emailers and organizing the database. So these are the latest technology which we are using, and this is really scaling our business and reducing the cost of serving the users as well, and it's giving more personalized user experiences, which is increasing the client retention ratio and profitability of the company.
Sure. There was supposed to be another panelist to join us, but thanks to coronavirus, he couldn't. But there was an interesting factor about this company. They are one of the largest, fintech company based out of India, and like you've seen the e-commerce people, they've never gone into profitability. But the company that he was supposed to, who was supposed to come here, they are in the path to profitability. And one of the data points that they mentioned here was, they have reduced their cost of operations by 90%, okay, but increased their GMV, gross merchandise value, by 10%. So their turnover is increasing, operational costs have come down, and the only reason they'd be able to do that is blockchain technology. So I guess, the point that you're talking, not only in terms of consumer level, but even at an organization level, these technologies are helping them to bring in efficiencies, bring in more profits, and you are able to give more solutions to the customers.
It's giving better user experience as well, because now when you are into big data platforms, then there are lots of data user, and you cannot throw all the data in front of user, right? To provide the better user experience, you are recording their human behavior, what they are interested into, and you are showing the only interested data, right? And that is increasing the client retention ratio, and the more transaction is also happening and increasing the profitability. Like when we talk about 10 years back, there was a trend of BPOs, right? And almost now if you see that 90% of the traffic companies are heading through AI enabled chatbots, and only 10% of the queries are directly landing into the users. Even on those 10% queries, they are using artificial intelligence, right? So they are using an NPA, wherein they are only driving those question and answer to the respective agents, and these question and answer is also having a predefined answers as well, right? So they need not to be very much trained about it.
While we were having coffee, we had this conversation. So when you walk into a Starbucks, and that's his experience as well, and you're about to pay, Starbucks guy says, use my app, you get a 10% off. And suddenly the telecom guy comes and says, you know what, you're there, if you use my app, you're gonna get 20% app, okay? And then you're using an Apple phone will say, use Apple Pay, you get another 20% app. And then, if you're using Amazon or some of these things. So there are multiple ways that AI has come into your life. So is that good or bad? Those two panelists did speak about, because they are from the industry, but you're from a media. So, we would love to have your views. How do you see this experience?
Thank you, Khadir. Thank you to FiNext for having me here and actually giving me an opportunity to give a more media point of view to this panel. And I think some of the numbers that the panelists have shared are really great. And I was going to make a point. You actually took that off on the chatbot things from me.
Yeah, I was in entrepreneur AI event as well in Bangalore.
Yeah, I know that.
Spoke about AI.
Clear example of one data used by two people.
No, but I mean, given the larger context of the session, which is really on artificial intelligence and its use in finance, I think the financial industry has been a leader when it comes to actually adopting AI and ML practices. And therefore, they have been able to do much more. Though I feel currently, while there's specks of, that's what the trend said, that there are specks of AI which is happening across board, but two use cases where I feel they've happened quite well is the KYC, which is know your customer. So particularly, whether it's a bank or it's a wallet or any other form of a peer-to-peer lending startup, they've all managed to do a great work on KYC, and therefore what we know about our customers is far more than what we used to know about 10 years back. I think digitizing of documents and records, that's again something that has happened very effectively thanks to AI. And chatbots, which I think he also mentioned that because of these chatbots, there has been far less human interaction. I mean, we pretty much finished the BPO industry in India because there is hardly any human interaction which is left between the customer and the organization that he's or she is dealing with. But I also feel that while there are great AI use cases which are being seen in predicting credit worthiness, I mean, today one of the biggest problems, at least that India is going through, due to which economy has seen a greater slowdown, is the non-performing assets, the bank loans which have not been able to perform to their optimum. And it can actually take down a country's GDP, as we have noticed, to like another level if it is not managed well. I mean, you can blame the government banking system or whatever, but eventually, the system has to ride well in order for that to happen. So I think the best use case I want to see in AI is that to be able to predict more accurately about what would be the credit worthiness of the customer. And I think it's already started with the better KYCs. It would happen, but that would probably take the whole financial industry to another level. I know even today P2P companies are also suffering because there is not enough accurate information about credit worthiness of the customer. Then robo-advisory, so I'll give you an example of another industry, but let me tell you that robo-advisory is a great, sort of engine within AI to help or predict, particularly to people who are investing in stocks, equities, or other tools, financial tools, products, that is, to tell them. But I mean, who was predicting a coronavirus? And because of that, I mean, the lady mentioned that because of corona, crypto is not being bought. I was thinking, why is it not being bought? People are probably in the house and online all the time. They're not going anywhere, so they might as well dangle around in cryptos. But it doesn't work that way. So similarly, because there are so many unforeseen situations which are there in stock markets that you really cannot predict to the optimum as to what or where a customer should make an investment. Another big play I feel is cybersecurity. So what I was going to tell you about another industry, so I'm from a media, and so we use these tools all the time, which is called SEO tools, to be able to make content better. But when Corona came and we were looking for what could be the keywords for a thing, we couldn't find anything. So, imagine how can a robo-advisor tell you in situations like this as to
That is the only reason in Advisorymandi, because this is a stock market aggregator platform of experts. We are using robo-advisory with human brains, because human brains are the one who can predict the future.
Absolutely.
Robo-advisories are only working on the basis of data, so they are always be a lagging indicator, not can be a leading indicators.
Yeah.
And when we are investing in stocks and all, they are microsecond game. Means if you are even a second late, then you cannot make money in this, because the stocks are discounting the price in a nanosecond.
Correct.
Time.
So, I think while I've seen early use cases of it, but not, I would say, a complete 100% a thorough use case of robo-advisory. Cybersecurity is where I think one should fundamentally see more AI coming in, because you don't want your transaction hacked, your customers to go away from your platform just because, their transaction or their credit card got hacked. Now, but interestingly, you made a point about the time when credit cards came in, and this was the data that I came across, that because of entire fintech industry, and overnight mobile wallets in India became popular because of demonetization. I mean, while Paytm was always a big company, but the day it happened, I mean, mobile wallets was everything to that country for the next 6 months. I mean, there were 6 new mobile wallet companies just born within that period.
And Paytm is serving almost 33% of Indian population.
Correct. And
they have 45 crore users.
And I think that, honestly, I also feel that they've lost users because of there's so much competitiveness that has come in the industry. But at some point in time, I'm sure when demonetization happened, they were the only ones, 90% of the customers they were controlling.
That's a country issue, but you put at 2 important points. One is the human interaction, another one is the risk. Okay, I think let's try and find an answer here, because you are a banker by yourself, and then you are into broking, risk management, and things like that. There's always a doubt, and I would say that, artificial intelligence is great for, you said BPO, which is mundane jobs. You can actually automate it and do things like that. But especially in your line of business, where bankers get involved, credit rating, risk, and all those things. How do you see, it's a customized solution. How do you, ensure that AI as a technology comes them, helps them on the customized solution? What does your company do in those activities?
Absolutely. So moving from the completely from banking to the advisory side of the equation, on the other side, so we specialize more on the risk management, on the market risk management. And within the market risk management, we are talking about the financial risks on the derivative and hedging portfolio. So normally when we help our client on a day-to-day basis, we use a lot of risk quantification techniques to demonstrate the risk to our end clients. So one of the, for example, the risk measures we use is the value at risk, VAR, which gives the probability of a loss of your portfolio given a certain confidence level for a certain period of time. The problem with this risk matrix that we love to use is that the minute you don't have a decent historical observation, you cannot really have a robust model output. So this was the problem. So the minute we do have an asset class that does not have enough history, so we end up not using the value at risk. Now, thanks to AI and machine learning, we're able to create what we call a synthetic data. So we regenerate as many sample output as we can from this limited data that we have that has the same attributes, the same features, the same characteristics of the limited data. So we can create as much data set as we want, then we will have a robust value at risk calculation. Now again, the problem is that the smallest error in the input data would cause your model to be unstable. And even if you tick that box, you would fail the issue of you have to retrain the data to take care of the new information that comes in place. And if you are lucky and you get that box ticked, you will be facing another issue, which is the model itself cannot be generalized. This is a problem that we currently face. So you really need to have a certain resolution to the interpretability factor. I think that the econometrics has to work with data science even more in collaboration, because the minute I see the output that is not aligned with the economic intuition, I have to question that. I won't accept a machine or a black box that tells me this answer and I take it for granted. The more I get answers from that black box, the more I would be questioning the output. So I would work on why this kind of output is there. It's very important that the traders in a banks, for example, they should move from learning how to make resolution to the model deficiency toward learning more science, learning how statistics work. Because I have read a very interesting article at risk.net last year, which talks about the end of Black-Scholes era as a model to calculate the hedging. So they call it deep hedging, which comes from deep learning. So the traders won't be using the Greeks, delta, gamma, vega, to hedge their portfolios. They would entirely rely on a machine to help them do hedging activities. This is on a step-by-step basis, because it's very difficult to move from completely parametric to complete non-parametric. The bank still uses BSM for limit calculation and other regulatory-related angle, but that trend is really promote us to try to make some sense or some interpretation about the outcome of the machines.
So you still need the human intelligence.
Definitely.
It has to go hand in hand.
Absolutely. So your company also does similar things, right? So what is your experience in terms of offering these custom solutions to your customers?
Actually, we are into retail side, not into doing the portfolio management or a proprietary trading. Yeah, so what we used to do, like we are recording human behaviors, and there are certain sorts of questions we are asking while onboarding the users, and on the basis of that, we are finding out the best case of artificial intelligence. Then, because we are into stock market, so we have ample amount of data from last 50 years or 40 years of any of the stock script. So while developing that case, we are, through machine learning, we are, creating the best sort of case wherein the user is making the good amount of profit, and we are applying the same things, and then we are giving those recommendations in the form of notifications to our users, and that notifications are directly connected with their respective stockbrokers. So in a single click, they are making the trade, and as I already told you that we are not completely relying on the robotic things. We have a certain sorts of experts panel of more than 1,000 experts, wherein they are taking care of the stocks which they have recommended, and whenever they feel like user need to modify their position or need to take the exit, then they are putting their inputs, and whenever they are putting their input, the users who has invested on those particular stocks will get the notifications to rebalance their portfolio, and on a single clicks the stock which they want to take you the exit and add on a new stocks in your portfolio, it's happening on a single click. So we have built a one-touch trading platform because we are targeting the untapped market, wherein this people even never heard of investing in stocks, and we have built a platform wherein a users, even a taxi driver or even a layman who never heard of even a stock market can invest through confidence.
Right. Since you've built this platform, okay, some of the mostly the challenges that this industry face is the technology, the technical resources that is available, or we call the subject matter expertise. And was there a challenge in terms of finding out resources who could help you build this platform, or what are the various risks? If someone has to get into a fintech AI, from your experience of building this platform, what are the challenges and what are the risks that he needs to look into?
So challenges starting from data is the one, because usually existing all the older AI model were completely made on the text data, and now whatever data you are getting, it's more of like image or in the form of videos. So you need to build a new set of techniques, a model to read these, because the captions are usually not there on images, right? And second thing is that resources are another one, because still the resources which is available in the market are in a learning stage, and they are not having a deep knowledge of artificial intelligence. They have some limitations of identifying the right sort of techniques or right sort of AI case which you need to put on the basis of your business, right? And they need to know the right AI technologies and their limitations as well, right? And other than this, if you are a bootstrap startup, then definitely it's cost a lot putting this implementation of AI in your business model. So until and unless you are not having a certain sort of traffic and all, then it's not recommendable to use the AI.
Well, what's your experience in terms of building this platform? What challenges did you face? The challenges, the resource challenges, or any technical challenges. It could be hardware driven, cloud driven.
Primarily, I would say the human angle, to be honest. And even if you read the surveys, if you read the studies, bridging the gap in terms of the human angle and the knowledge of AI, because even within our jurisdiction, it's a relatively new topic, to be honest. So now the government is working on the scholarships in terms of having more data scientists that would greatly help establishing education programs outside and inside Saudi. So this is, I would say, the single contributing factor to make this a very big challenge. Once you do have the human angle ticked, then the other things would normally follow. It comes with challenges, yes, but and I don't think this is a localized factor. This is a global issue as well. Yeah.
Sure. So So while challenges are getting addressed, and we also know that the market, the industry needs us. Let's talk about VCs and Ps. I mean, that's what we're all for. So you're also an investor. You help investors do it. Do you think there's a lot of buzz in the industry? The VCs will come in and sort of invest in your technology platform. Is this a good way to look into it for any startups or any entrepreneurs?
Yeah, this is a very important question. So the Public Investment Fund in Saudi, PIF, which is the sovereign wealth fund of the country, has established a company called JADA. So JADA was established with the capital of more than $1 billion to invest into startups. And they don't invest directly, so they invest into the funds of the startups, who in turn will invest. So that would support the ecosystem from the top. So it's a revolution that we are witnessing here in terms of VCs, in terms of even the media coverage, even the people being very much excited. We are witnessing people that are moving from the banking industry toward more of a VC, more of a startup. This is a pattern that we are not used to have, because if you really witness the where do people work and their background and everything, you see, I mean the hallmark of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data is not there. People are shifting with the support of the government. So yes, it's being prioritized. We do have private funds, public funds that is merely focused on VC in terms of fintech. Even the banks, they do have special, I would say, treatment toward the VCs in terms of funding, financing when it comes to fintech, because it's very easy. The bank can open the roadmap of Vision 2030 and focus on and go to the FSDP, Financial Sector Development Program, and see exactly where the country's focus in terms of funding growth. So yeah,
I think there's a beautiful ecosystem that has been set, as you said, right from universities which are getting into these courses, then the government which is saying that we're going to encourage you to come into this field, the users, the consumers, everyone. We see a lot of positive thing going on. But Rita, I'll come back to you on the counterpoint. You must have met with a lot of entrepreneurs, the startups, who have been in this field of fintech or AI. What's the success rate? Are these guys doing good, or is it as rosy as we see here?
So, the thing about AI startups is that they are in a very B2B space. So eventually a lot of good AI startups would be better off, instead of building a separate organization, being part of different organizations, which is back to the point where you said that banking industry took about some $1 billion of IT services, and therefore AI startups today are more about incremental innovation than about the core innovation itself. So from my point of view, not just funds like JADA, but I think it's the startups who would need to start investing in other startups, particularly when it comes to AI and ML and blockchain startups. I feel that would be the best objective for them, because otherwise, let's say even if one startup in 10 gets funded, the other 9s are not bad idea. They just did not get a VC, a formal fund. But that one startup might be great for his company or the kind of product that he's doing. And therefore I feel that, and this is something that the governments will have to be responsible about, and better it is that we do it sooner rather than later, because the whole country wants to become or imbibe entrepreneurship. So it's better that a fund advises his own startup that you buy in another startup. Don't try to build capabilities in-house. There's already somebody who's doing a good job out there. I think that M&A, or whatever you want to call it, the buying and selling of incremental innovation is going to be much more dominant in this sector than pure VC play financing.
I guess let's all talk. We would love to hear from you in terms of what you think about this industry, or any questions that you.
Hi, how are you? So my question would be on the practicality and how you sell it to your clients. Because I feel like with AI being a hot topic right now, there's lots of competition. So my question is simple. What distinguishes your companies from others? How do you make the client see that your machine learning or AI program is better than your competition? Thank
Mr.
you.
Singh, do you want to answer it? You're a fintech company.
Actually, it's not completely dependent on the AI model. Business model also do contribute a lot while you are differentiating yourself with the competitor. Yeah, but as I already discussed that if you are identifying the best case of AI and you are implementing it in a right way, and if your accuracy is better than your competitor, then definitely you will produce much better output and much better user experience as comparison to your competitors. So that only depend on the expertise of your manager, which you have hired him to build the best case.
Yeah. So any solutions that you give, there are two factors to it. One is the technology factor, then we call the domain factor, which is the subject matter expertise. So in this business, technically you can cover most points, but as long as you have the domain experience of working with that is what counts. So my same product, which could be great for a banking, cannot be good for an insurance. So you need to have that little bit of exercise coming into there. So to answer your question, both technology and domain specialists have to be there to differentiate from them.
Absolutely. One thing to add, given that, for example, our specialty within the market risk management, we were the first in Saudi and still the first hedging advisor regulated in Saudi. So applying machine learning in certain aspect of how to demonstrate the risk, you are the only one who does that because you are in this niche market. So that would definitely give us some edge with our
Your
clients.
experience on that field.
Hi, my question is for Kaushlendra. So Kaushlendra, you said that nanoseconds or microseconds have become very important to make money. That's true for traders, but for investors, even minutes or hours doesn't matter, right? So my question is, what AI solutions your firm is providing to the retail investors, since you guys are into that segment, so that they make money out of that solutions?
So like we have a very unique model because Invest19, which is my new venture, is the world first aggregator platform of a stock market across globe. And we are not calling it aggregator because what I feel aggregator is a very small word. We call ourselves as an ecosystem because we are connecting this platform with more than 25 countries and 45 exchanges, stock exchange across globe. And in this, as I already discussed during the discussion, that we are not completely relying on the artificial intelligence. We are mixing artificial intelligence with the human intelligence. So we are using artificial intelligence up to a certain limits wherein they are performing good, and rest we are involving humans. So as my existing company, Advisorymandi is the biggest stock market expert platform across globe. So we have best human brains of a stock market, right? So they are posting their recommendations and idea on different industries and different stock segment on the price side as well. Then we are running artificial intelligence and machine learning on those investment ideas, because we on a daily basis we are almost generating 500 to 600 investment ideas, right? And we are not throwing all those investment ideas to each and every investors. We are now recording their human behavior. Like earlier, if you have invested stocks, multi-bagger stocks like 25 rupees or 100 rupees a stock, then we are only displaying the stocks which is as per your taste. Or if he is from IT background, then we are displaying the pushing the investment ideas of IT related companies like TCS or Infosys. So in this way, we are mixing artificial intelligence with the human behaviors, and we are keep on recommending the ideas to the user as per their taste and preference.
So you mean to say that the retail investors cannot take the advantage of artificial intelligence?
No, they are getting the advantage. Means, as I told you, if we are generating 200 ideas every day and we'll keep on pushing 200 notification to you, right? Then definitely you will be irritated.
No, but that's not a part of AI. That is just part of algorithms that you guys are running. AI is completely a different picture, right? So AI may help big funds or big companies to identify the stocks. So, those guys would be investing in those stocks. But as far as, the stock market, the retail investors are concerned, how would or how can they be, they can use this technology?
No, so they are using this technology because we are completely making the investment platform a one-touch platform, because the kind of market which we are targeting is the untapped user who have never heard of a stock market, and they don't have knowledge, means what is margin or how to even put a order in this, then whatever recommendation experts are giving. So every recommendation is having all the fields of stop losses, entry point, and target as well. And we have launched this platform in more than 9 regional languages in India only, right? So that it's better for them, for their understanding.
I guess, how do you use the AI? I can't see who it is, but the point, all right. The point from where you're coming from is, do I as an investor make money out of it, is one way of using AI. But I think what he's saying is, how do I make an operational efficiency out of it? So the parameters could be different, but AI as an industry he's using it for operational efficiency, and that could then get into business and then for the investors. So I think many ways of looking into it there.
Okay, thanks.
For the investor's success in terms of his investments, it's important to gauge his risk tolerance properly. So my question is it possible, and have you got any experience of divergence between your assessment of risk for a customer and his actual risk assessment? Because as you said, that you ask multiple questions, and based on which you assess how much risk he can tolerate. But from your risk questionnaire, you found out that he is very high risk taker. But whenever there is a small market correction, his behavior is different. So how is artificial intelligence able to gauge the risk appetite of the person properly? Because most of the cases, the experience of the customer is bad because his understanding of how much risk he can take was wrong. And when the market behaves in a different manner, his experience becomes bad, and then he will never come back to the market. So how do you handle this situation?
Just to his point, it's not about what the customer discovers, but what he does not discover because of artificial intelligence.
If you ask a question that how much risk can you take, it's a very difficult question to answer. How much risk I can take, I don't know. Because if the market is bullish, I am a very high risk taker. When the market starts tanking down, all my learning
question is not directly means how much risk you can take, how much you want to invest or how much you are saving right now. What is all sort of expenses you are doing, so that you will have a sufficient amount of money which you can easily invest in a stock, or even though if you lose, you can forget it, right? So I simply recommend that invest that amount of money, not for a short term, for a long term as well, right, in a stock market. As my fellow panelists say, that there are certain things like VAR and beta as well. So suppose we from those questions we are coming out that you can take a risk of 100 rupees. Then we do believe in doing a diversification of investments. So we will not ask you to invest in one stock. We will provide you a basket. Right, that basket will be of 10 or 20 stocks with different sectors, and the kind of stocks which we are recommending to you, we do our own sorts of analysis. That those stocks will be having a good credibility in the market. They will be you can say blue chip companies having a good liquidity as well in the market depth. And we are running this artificial intelligence and all to seeing the maximum variations as well over the last 10 years or 20 years. So in future as well, whatever variations, what we have average variation, we have find out on the basis of that, we will recommending the stocks to you.
Yeah, from a technology perspective, these data is used to give you decision-making capabilities. Now, whether you want that technology to automate the decision and decide on your behalf, it's a choice that you can take. Or if you want that decision to be giving you only data points and you can take a decision, it's a choice that you have. In traditional way, you've got your portfolio managers who gives you only the ways that you want to do, and you take a decision based on that. This is the same thing that AI would also do there, but AI has the capability to learn on its own, understand it. Maybe the first time it could make a mistake, but as it learns, the decision making could be much faster. So it depends purely how you want to utilize the data. Do you want AI to decide on your behalf, or are you going to take the data to do this? It's completely left to you. Okay, so then I'll give the, and that was an important point, because not only from a finance standpoint, today we are looking at AI being used in multiple industries, especially in healthcare. There are companies which are looking at giving you prediction of when you will get a heart attack and how you can prevent it. Okay, so there are AI which is used in climate changes, sustainability. So there are multiple industries that these decision-making capabilities are being done, which means that AI is here to make us live healthier and happier as well. So there's this famous sentence from Spider-Man movie which says that with great powers come great responsibility. So how we use the AI is our responsibility, but if we use it responsible, I think it's got huge benefits to do it. So thank you for being part of my panel, and you guys have been a lovely audience. Thank you so much.